And it says we're live. Hi, everyone. Number one Marmaduke fan here. And today I am joined by my friend, your friend. He is everyone in Comicsgate's friend. It's John Dillard, Gaming the System. Say hi, John.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing?
Well, what's exciting about this is I think I watched your first YouTube video when that came out, and I knew you on Twitter before that. And you were like one of these, artists that artists should, aspire to be just based on your work ethic. And, like you're just continually putting out amazing content and amazing fan art. So I'm sure that almost everyone on Twitter at some point has seen some of the beautiful fan art you've done for indie comic projects. And today you've got Indiegogo up, but we're going to be talking about a few projects you've been working on. So John, tell us a little bit about, your work, your channel, and some of the art you like to do.
Sure. My channel is, well, my work is mainly comics. I'm trying to do comics now. It's been a while since I was into comics, and of course, I got back into it because of Richard Meyer, and I became a fan of his. But that's what kind of prompted me to get back in. And as I was doing that, I started working on a few things and doing a lot of fan art and working on my own stuff. But I decided to do a channel because listening to it and listening about the broken system of breaking into comics and how you can't really go about it the normal way anymore. I figured that, I'm an older guy. Well, not older, but I'm solidly in my 30s. But I figured there's no reason why I couldn't just in my spare time break into comics, because you don't have to do things the way you used to. Nothing has to be perfect anymore. There are comic books out there that people do finished pencils and that becomes a comic book.
Yeah.
So why do you have to go the normal route? Why do you have to stand in line at a convention and, hat in your hand and show these people, this is my work, please love me, Why can't you just do it on your own? So I started a channel on YouTube called John Dillard Gaming the System. And it's called that because it's my attempt to break into the industry without having to go through the average channels that people normally do.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's become that even if you're talented, you've got to be famous. You got to be internet famous. So
yeah, like Marvel and DC don't want to look at you unless you're going to bring them an audience.
And so you can be internet famous without being that good, but you've taken the route of you're just doing drawings and putting lots of art out there. And I think your art gets noticed because you're putting a lot of time into it. Your style has what would I call it? I use the word energy too much without saying what I mean, but I think like sometimes you'll use like sketchy lines and then you'll use solid blacks and whites. So I think you're smart about how you use different tools in drawing to get like this punchy effect.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, a lot of my inspiration comes from cartoons. Like my favorite cartoon ever, and probably the biggest inspiration on me, was the cartoon Ren and Stimpy, and the artist John Crispolucci. And there's that's kind of how my work is. Like, I would say my actual style is a mix between Norman Rockwell and John Crispolucci from Ren and Stimpy. I try to do my characters with that kind of actiony. Let's make sure we get the point across first, then we can worry about the details.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's smart because that's focusing on like fundamentals. And for Ren and Stimpy, I think cartoonists really have to get movement and exaggeration, and then realistic artists get details. And the most beautiful art is kind of like a happy blend of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Now that show, I see some of that influence in Cosmonauts, right? The comic you've been posting art on recently on Twitter.
Yes.
Is that the right title?
Yeah, that's Cosmonaut.
All right, so Cosmonaut's going to be like the story of like three babes lost in space. Is that about right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Let me throw it up here real quick.
Oh, Gus Tyler Bush says, I love his graveyard shift drawing. There we go. I knew people would know who you are.
Yeah. And that was the point, that one of the main staples of gaming the system, as it were, this is the Cosmonaut.
Yeah.
girls. And one of the main staples of the gaming the system is that you need to get out there, but also get out there by any means necessary, which means contact people, throw out fan art, throw out as many tendrils as you can to get connected with as many people in your community, and make sure it's in your community, because my community is the Comicsgate community.
Yeah.
And I don't have any reservations by saying, oh, maybe I don't deserve to be here, or I'm trying to do something bad. It's like, no, that is my community.
Yeah.
I genuinely love the Comicsgate community.
And I get it. There's one of the things I love about fan art is it's such a statement of love, like beyond just saying I love your project. It's I'm going to devote some of my creative time to your project, and you've shown so much love to people with the drawings you've done. I think you deserve to get love back for that, and I try to share all your stuff when I see it, because people like you are a gift to like something like Comicsgate that can only be as effective as the people who are in it, making beautiful stuff. And that's what you're doing. Jonah Art says it looks awesome, and he has the comment, an energetic punch of movements. That's kind of a neat way of putting it, that when you have a lot of movement in drawing, it has punch. So you are working now on some pencils for a page of a possible upcoming project. So I might be breaking news here on Comics YouTube. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this project?
Yeah, this is I'm going to consider this my magnum opus. This is called The Last Judge, and it's following a young man named Vincent Verduzco. Your page. This is what he looks like here.
Nice.
Gosh. He's a boxer.
Yeah.
He's an amateur boxer, and he's kind of being taken advantage of by his family, by his uncle. His uncle is the patriarch of the family. His father's dead, and there's a whole side story to that, because his uncle is responsible for his father's death. This is a little page of flashback. This is his dad, and young Vincent is it's called The Last Judge because he is from the bloodline, actually, of Samson.
Yeah.
From the Old Testament. And he has the power, though he doesn't quite know it yet, but he does have the power to influence and not just have the, what do you call it? Not have the forethought and the foresight to make judgments, but he actually has the ability himself to take on certain powers.
Yeah.
Heavenly powers.
Yeah.
And demonic powers.
So that's one of the interesting aspects of it is, you're using some kind of like biblical ideas like Samson, but you're kind of taking it in your own direction, because in your universe, angels might not necessarily automatically be a good thing, right?
No. And one of the things I do also is I play D&D.
Yeah.
And one of the staples is, you can have like a paladin or some sort of a holy warrior. And it's interesting because a lot of those holy warriors, you don't necessarily want angels butting into earthly situations.
Right.
Because angels are powerful, vengeful, and they do not like humans.
Yeah.
They're very jealous of humans. And if you haven't, because in the story, God and the devil are both missing. And because of this, there's a angel, one of the highest choirs of angels, named Amos, comes down, and he proclaims himself the steward of earth in the absence of God. And because of that, he's have you seen the movie Dogma? I
haven't. No, tell us about it.
Oh, it's a Kevin Smith movie, but he it's a movie about Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and they're both angels, and then they come down to earth. They're trying to weasel their way back into heaven, and in order to get back in God's good side, they start killing people that are sinning or that they consider sinners. So everybody starts to get it because of it. I mean, they just start slaughtering everyone
Yeah.
because Hellfire and Brimstone, they think they know what God wants, and they start to act on his behalf to kind of get back on his good side, and they just start killing people because to them, living you know a crazy lifestyle or being a murderer or being a child trafficker or is the exact same thing as smoking a cigarette
Yeah.
or getting a tattoo. It's all sin. You all deserve to die.
They don't have God's frame. They don't have God's framework.
Yeah, they don't have his grace.
Yeah. That's a neat
So
way of getting. That's a neat way of getting at that. Yeah.
so he comes down and he starts to just slaughter people and setting up a new world structure. Because of this, there's another demon named Isaac, and he ends up getting in contact with Vincent because he knows of his lineage and his ability, and ends up guiding him and ultimately providing him with an avenue to awaken his powers so that he can help the demons defeat these angels, or at least in some way, in some measure, stave them off
Right.
long enough so that God can make a return.
Yeah.
So that's the basic premise of the story.
Look at that structure, everyone. So, in a drawing, like structure is like the underlying, like the the harmony, the proportions. It's what makes a body look solid. And if you nail that, then you can build all the details on top of that. And so, look at this is what I'm saying, that you're a real talent, and I really want to see more and more people connect with that, because that's the kind of style I think. What's interesting is you work in multiple styles, not just one style, but you have your fundamentals down so well that I think you can tell multiple kinds of stories with the fundamentals down, and then you can kind of like push that in the cartoony direction. You can kind of push that in the detailed, expressive direction. Can you tell us a little bit about what might be going on in this page, maybe without spoiling anything like too secret about the plot?
Oh, sure. This is well, on this page, it's going to be almost a whole half-page panel here. Vincent's coming out. He had just finished a boxing match in which he was forced to throw. He was he's getting really tired because he's under the influence of the local Mexican mafia, and whenever he seems to get an opportunity to be a real contender for any sort of title, they end up having him throw the match. So
Wow.
what happened is, well, he didn't throw this match in particular. He won decidedly.
Yeah.
So because he's had enough of it, and now the mafia is coming to confront him about that. While they're waiting at his car for him.
Yeah.
So that's what this page is about.
Which touches in to some of the human things, like the supernatural fantasy part of it is, like the demons and angels at odds with one another, but kind of like the human problem of, you think one thing is right, but everything is pressuring you to do another thing. That's a very human, situation to find oneself in.
Yeah, he's definitely, because the thing is he's getting a lot of pressure, not from his family or from his another one of the main characters is going to be his girlfriend Maria, but he has a lot of pressure from himself because he's getting to be, he's past his teens, he's solidly in his early 20s, and he's kind of getting his what would be the male version of a biological clock.
Yeah.
And he wants to start his life, he wants to start his family, and
Yeah.
he's sick of being relegated to, I mean, he does get his kickback from the mafia, but it's not enough. He wants to be a success.
Yeah.
And the story is going to be very much focused around the importance of family.
Yeah. Those are really important focuses, I think, because that's what humanizes it. That's what lets us read it and connect with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you've also worked on a project called Black Emerald with a friend of yours, and there's an Indiegogo for it now. But maybe what's a little different about this Indiegogo is the project was finished, and you just wanted to put a digital edition out for people who supported the Indiegogo. Could you tell us a little bit about Black Emerald for people who may not have seen that yet?
Yeah, absolutely. The Black Emerald story is it's real short. It's only a 16-page black and white, and it was the first book that I decided to work on. I had met this guy Matthew Kale through a Facebook uh, group called, I think it was Comic Artists Seeking Professionals to Collaborate,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And I was looking to draw a short story just to kind of break myself in. And he sent over a story like, "Hey, check this out," you know. So I read it and I was like, "Oh, this is actually not bad. Let's work on this." And I had, I'm pretty new to the sequential art. I've only been drawing sequential art for about, I'd say 7 months, 6, 7 months. And since I started watching the DNC and getting back into comics.
Yeah.
And it's actually a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. It's not easy doing sequential art,
right?
But
because then you're bringing in some storytelling problems into it. Yeah.
So that's where I kind of cut my teeth on this Black Emerald project, and it's a cool little short story. I can't really talk too much about it just because it is short and it's a mystery. So I can't give away too much without giving away the story. But it's about a young lady. Her name is Gabrielle Washington, and let me see if I have a couple of pages for it. Oh yeah, here we go. But it's about a young lady who is having trouble with the perception, the way people see her, the way she sees herself, and it's kind of like, oh, here's a good page.
Eve of the Sea, or Eve La Renaissance, says that is a whole lot of man.
Well, yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. One of my other main influences was an artist named Mark Texeria. And that was the first book I ever really saw. See, like this one here, she's sleeping. She's starting to have nightmares.
Yeah.
People watching her. But she's going through a whole mess. She's going through a real big mess of self-doubt and not really sure where she fits in. But it's almost like a little psychodrama, or kind of like a noir mystery.
Yeah. So there's some, maybe there's some more of that Ren and Stimpy influence coming in. Is maybe a little brain busting.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And to jump on, you can jump on this book for as little as $2 to get the digital edition.
Yeah, that's what I hear a lot of people complaining about is, oh, those books are too expensive. I can't even get into it because the buy-in points are $25 or $10 for a PDF.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, there ain't no reason. The book's already done. It's a short story. It's black and white. All we do is just not color it. We don't have to add any more work into it. We'll just clean it up, throw it in Photoshop, clean it up, put the dialogue, and put it out there for $2. That way, it's kind of a way to, because I'm trying to establish myself in the community and grow the channel. This is, take a look. If you like it, this is kind of the style that I work in.
Which I appreciate, because it's sort of just like a welcome. It's like a welcome. It's an introduction, really. Like, you're not banking all of your hopes as a comic book artist on this one project. You're introducing yourself because people were literally asking you for opportunities to see more of your work and support some of your work. And as it comes out, boom, you're right onto the next project, and that this one's going to be completely your project. And I hope to see you well employed as a comic artist well into the future. Let's just put it that way.
Well, yeah, me too. And the thing is, I don't ever plan on stopping. Yeah. So, why wait until I have, this, like the Ethan Van Sciver style, pristine, perfect book of, why? For what? This is already done. Put it out there. But like I was saying, this book here was a real big influence on me. This is Sabretooth #1.
Wow.
And it came out way back in the day. And my dad bought this for me.
Huh.
And this is the first time I ever saw, when I opened this cover up.
Whoa.
I was like, oh my God. And this is the only time in my life that I ever looked up an artist's name.
Yeah.
Wow. And I said, oh man, that's the first time I was like, this art, comic books can be art. because look at that.
Yep.
And not only that, I mean, that style, that I mean, look at this first page where he's fighting this, or the second page where he's fighting these ninjas. I mean, look at this.
Wow.
Like, this is fantastic. And this was the style that I was drawing in at the time.
Yeah.
You know, the oversized everything, a whole bunch of man, you know?
Yeah.
And so I thought to myself, man, this is definitely where I need to be, because these are my people.
Carl's
But yeah,
Amateur Hour is loving it. Eva the Sea is loving it. Indie Dave Comics writes, Mark's Texeria is great. He worked on some of the He-Man comics that came with the original action figures, as well as some of my favorite stuff from the 90s. He did some great Ghost Rider stuff, too.
mhm.
Have you encountered Indie Dave Comics and Paul Zombie 13 yet?
I don't think I have, no.
I think you dig them. So Indie Dave has written a comic called Cyberlinks, and Paul. What's interesting about Paul is it's also kind of a blend of like really realistic, hyper muscly art, but then also some cartoony elements to it too. So
Mhm.
I love it when I see that blending of traits, because I think that's pretty key to comics. Is it can range from like the beautiful realistic art to the very cartoony art, and I think I've seen very successful examples of both in comics, and I'm really excited when I see someone who appreciates both aspects of the style.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why you should stick to one. Oh, like for instance, let me show you this page for Cosmonaut.
Yeah.
This is where I got the Ren and Stimpy influence,
Uh huh.
where you have the very cartoony, oh, they're trying to cook this arm because they're starving.
Yep.
And then, the girl's offering her, do you want some of this arm? And then there's a close up of the grotesque arm. And then, because that's one thing I liked the most about the Ren and Stimpy was that it was super cartoony, but every now and then they would cut away to
Yeah.
a hyper detailed scene of something really grotesque.
Yeah.
And I
I
thought,
was never allowed to watch Ren and Stimpy, and someone shared a clip a while ago of like Ren contemplating murder, and it has a really unique style because it would do adult themes. It would also kind of like play on, I think, like adult language. I don't just mean like cussing, but it would talk about something almost as like a serious drama, and then also have a cartoony aspect to it.
oh yeah. I know that John Chris Felucci, one of the main reasons I loved him so much was that he would always tell his artists, I've seen this expression before. Make something up new.
Wow.
Like they would go by and they'd be drawing something and he'd say, what is that? This is the same surprise look that you did last time.
Yeah.
Like there's 100 million different ways to show surprise. Find one.
Yep.
Find one new. Because his stuff is, I mean, especially the one where you were talking about the Ren contemplating murder.
Yeah.
Like that series, I think it's called the Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon.
Uh-huh.
Like even that one, it's Disney feature film quality animation.
Yeah.
Just done in his small studio, the little Spunko Studios. It's great. I love it.
Like little commercials for like clothing stores. It's an absolutely unique way of drawing. And anytime I find an artist who draws like no one else I've ever seen before, I always make a mental note of it, and I never quite forget it, because it's sort of like the act of drawing like no one else has drawn before is itself a kind of draw for comics and for cartoons, because I like we've been making art for thousands of years, and yet people can still find a way to draw something that has its own unique vibe that no one's ever quite caught before.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've realized when I draw is that I tend to get my basics down, because I mean I've spent countless hours just drawing anatomy, and that's fantastically boring. So what I end up doing is just getting my skeletons down, and if I want the person to be very angry or being very sinister, like this pose right here, this mafioso guy is going to be very sinister and really full of himself. So I want to give him that look. Once I get my skeleton down, I kind of feel free to just pop his chin out as far as I want.
Yeah.
Just make him real evil looking, like almost like the bad guy from the Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make sure this looks like an actual person.
Right.
So I want that style. I want to make sure that the form is there and the function is there, but the style can be whatever it needs to be.
Uh,
So I'm actually gonna give him a little bit of a hook on his nose.
nice. Make him a little more sinister.
Hmm. And he's gonna be smiling too because he's a jerk.
Nice.
And I think I'm gonna have him holding Vincent's younger brother hostage. So it's gonna get real fast because
What are some other so you've shown us the Sabretooth comic that had a big impact on you. After your dad introduced you to that one, what were some other, like big moments in discovering, I call them like art heroes or art big bros and big sisters. What were some other discoveries like that you had?
that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Oh yeah, one of the main ones was I don't know if you remember when the Death of Superman when it came out. There was one because I don't know if it's just an artist thing or if it's an everyone thing, but there are some images in books that you hold on to, and you can remember nothing else about the book except for the one image.
Yeah.
And there's the one image at the end of the Superman book where Superman is dead, and he has one arm splayed up over his body, and he has his suit's all ripped up, and he has this big heaving chest covered in hair, you know?
Right.
And I was like, oh man, that is a real man right there.
Yeah. And
That's a hero.
He was a Superman for a whole generation of people. You got to have some chops to pull that off.
I mean, like just things like that. There are certain books like I think there was a Captain America book. I think it was called. I think it was just like an Ultimate Captain America, and at the very end, he ends up fighting. I forget who it was, but he's all beat up and bedridden, and he had spent the entire book trying to convert Captain America to his ideology because he had him trapped, he had him tortured, like what's that movie? A Clockwork Orange style.
Yeah. Gosh.
And Captain America is real resilient, so none of that worked on him. But at the very end, you see the guy tied up in bed. He's bedridden. His arms are all broken because he just came out of a fight with Cap, and he's recovering. And Cap sits down and starts reading him the Bible, in the beginning, and the guy's like, "No." I mean, like just scenes like that, like really like leave a lasting impression on you.
Yeah. And like what's weird is they remembered to do that in the Avengers movie. Like they gave Cap his sort of like, all American, homegrown farm boy Christian kid moment in the Avengers movie. And he would get he would get little moments like that where it wasn't like preachy, but he was a particular type of person, right? And maybe like an aspect of SJW Marvel is they've lost like real diversity. Like it would be so cool, like if Kamala Khan and Captain America had like a little religious moment that wasn't like a preachy moment, it would kind of humanize them a bit. But we don't get that. We get the type of diversity that is most useful for lecturing people, and especially like lecturing comic book fans.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. Like, it would actually be really good to have Kamala Khan and Captain America meet each other. Like how they used to do in the old team up, or not, the team up books where the superheroes would meet each other, have a misunderstanding, get in a fight, then kind of make up and go on an adventure together.
Yeah.
Like,
it was the Marvel misunderstanding, they used to call it.
Yeah. Like if Kamala Khan and Cap came on two opposite sides of the same coin on an issue, and they ended up having to get into it.
Yep.
It'd be an interesting story, but they're just a little too scared to do that.
Yeah. It's almost like they have the new generation of heroes too isolated from the old generation. They wanted them to replace the old generation when the natural thing would have been to have, characters in sort of a mentor student relationship. You would have I don't know, like, well, that's the reason why a lot of people like Falcon. Is he had a long history in the comics before they tried him out as Captain America. People still want to just see Steve Rogers as Captain America because that's Steve draw the Captain America they grew up with. But at least some of these characters do have a history. They have a connection. They have an actual connection to the mythos and the history of this universe.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
So sinister.
Sorry.
Yeah, when you exaggerated the chin, that's like right out of not just like the Disney design book, but the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. The villains are fun because you get to go nuts with them.
Oh, absolutely. And I got to stay on model with Vincent, but with the side characters, I can just go wild, which is the best part of drawing.
Oh.
I think I'm going to make him bald-headed.
Okay.
But not naturally bald. He shaves his head.
Okay, interesting. Tell us a little bit about your inking process, because when I look at your pencil process, I mean, you mentioned Norman Rockwell, and I actually had never encountered that comic book artist before you told me about him. So I'm going to have to, now I've got a new comic book badass I've got to go look at some more. But I can tell that you kind of like build up the drawing, with lots of layers, lots of lines, feeling it out, figuring out the skeletal shape, figuring out the expression and the body language. Tell us a little bit about how you move into the inking process from there.
Well, here's the thing. Another thing that I really do believe with my heart and soul is that comics don't need to take up all of your day.
Yeah.
Essentially, because I'm trying to do this, and all of my work I try to do as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Like I had just put up a Brutus the Badass piece for as a fan art piece for Inktober, and I came home from work because I work sometimes 14 hours a day. So I want to come home and knock something out as fast as I can, put it up, and then take a shower and go to bed.
Yeah.
And it took me 2 hours, and I think it was a pretty good piece for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we got like this one here. Here it is.
Wow.
And so what I do is I start to ink, and if it's not perfect, who cares?
Keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. I mean, I'll fix it in post.
Yep.
I can grab the whiteout and throw something in there because I don't need to spend all that time prepping it. The only time I really spend prepping is in my layouts. But the actual drawings, I try to do as fast as possible, and the ink is reflective of that. Because I will ink whenever I feel like I'm getting bored with the drawing.
Yeah.
Or if I put something down and I really like it and I want to make it solid, I really like this outer line here. So I'll go back with the inks and I will make sure to outline the outer line. And put that in solid. And then that'll be it, just to make sure that I remember that's where it's at. Then I'll go back to my pencils. But I try to ink as fast as possible and get all this done because I don't got that much time.
Yeah.
I got a full-time job. I'm not a young kid that, can just, I mean, I didn't take advantage of the time when I was young. I kind of squandered it away partying, So now that I'm older, I'm not blessed with the luxury of a bunch of, a mountain of available time.
Yeah.
So I got to get it done as quick as possible. I just had a kid. So I had a baby girl.
Wow.
So I gotta get this stuff done so that I can spend the time that I need with my family. But I don't think that if you because I would consider myself having put in the time to build up my skills. If you've put in the time already, I don't see why you need to be stuck in this workman-like manner of having to do things exactly a specific way. Following the live scan areas, the live areas of the board, the trim areas, the gutters, all that stuff. I mean, because of computers and what you can do with it, there's no reason to kind of be bound by that stuff anymore.
Right.
So why not just go crazy with it?
Right. And there is like a long history of quick drawing. That used to be like the Michelangelo technique is all the young students, they'd gather around like the naked, you'd probably just be another student who'd just sit there and let everyone draw on, and then they just draw quickly, and then you'd change up the pose, and you tried to knock out a bunch of drawings in just one day.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of those, what is it? I went to Italy on right out of high school on a study abroad program, and I was watching when you would go around to the museums and stuff, and you see a lot of the sketchbooks and the old master works and stuff. And when you really sit there and look at them, the work is not too much different than what you do. I mean, their style is a little different, but it's essentially the same thing. And they don't spend ages and ages on their sketches either. Like I remember I went to this. They have because what's really unfortunate is that when you go to see the statue of David, they no longer have it out.
Yep.
Where it was, you have to go to this place called the Galleria de la Academia.
Yep.
And in there they have a bunch of sculptures, some inlaid marble stuff, pins, but there's also a little area, a little gallery area where it has sketches. And in those sketches, you can see they're not. Some of them aren't even that great, you know. But the thing is that these artists were prolific, and when they did do their masterpieces, they were in fact masterpieces. But you just got to get out there and do it, because I always felt that, you know, in the same vein of Comicsgate, that if you work or art for the sake of art, you know, the Metro Goldwyn Mayer motto, you don't do your best work. Like, I think that you do your best work under the pressure of having a patron.
Yeah.
Like I know one of my favorite artists is a guy named Drew Struzan, and he's a poster artist. He's done the Back to the Future poster. He does all the Indiana Jones posters, the Star Wars posters, and all of his the Hook, the Dustin Hoffman and Robin Williams movie Hook.
Yep.
He did the poster for that, and all of his work is fantastic. It's great, and ever since he became so popular that now he can command the 7 figure for one poster.
Gosh,
he just does whatever he wants, and now his work that's his own private work that he does for his own enjoyment. It just doesn't have the cultural impact isn't there. Mm-hmm. You know, the drive to finish and get it done isn't there.
Yeah.
And the work suffers for it.
Sometimes success can, I mean, you want to succeed because you got a kid, but sometimes maybe success could be a curse for an artist. Interesting.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to necessarily say a curse, but it's just when you don't have the, you know, the George Lucas thing, when you don't have a group of people telling you that you need to get this done. And not only do you need to get it done, this isn't looking right. Fix it. You know, when you get to call all the shots yourself, it doesn't really, it seems to not, what do I want to say here? The artwork seems to suffer when you kind of stop trying to cater to the fans to cater to the consumer. When you start doing, you know, art for art's sake, it starts to suffer a little bit.
Well, that's something I've been talking about a lot. Is so many of these pros are saying we're the great artists. You consumers, you will consume our art and you will like it. But the attitude of most artists in time was commercial. Like the Pope wants it to look this way. Okay, I will make it the way Pope Julius II wants it to look.
Mm-hmm. Did you watch that movie, The Agony and the Ecstasy?
I don't think I have yet. No.
It's a great movie. It's Charlton Heston plays Michelangelo.
Wow.
And he's getting a lecture by the other artist, Raphael, and he's telling him, because, you know, Michelangelo at the time was working for the Pope.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not going to do any of it. And he says, but, you know, you have to do it. I mean, what are artists but slaves to a master? We have to have a master to feed this desire of ours to continue to work, to eat. And he says, well, if it comes down to that, I won't be an artist. He says, well, you're always going to be an artist. You just got to figure out how much you want to suffer.
Right. Yep.
So, and, you know, it was a great movie, but it seems to be, I like having that fire behind me to push me to finish.
Yeah.
I do need that. I need it, because if I don't, I'll get bored and I'll start going ways I probably shouldn't be going.
It is interesting because when I talk to people, sometimes they're stuck in the I don't know what to do phase. And I think what kind of helped me was like getting to a point in my life where I realized, oh, I don't have I don't have forever to live.
Mm.
Therefore, I've got to keep cranking it out. And once I'm at that point, it doesn't matter if I don't feel inspired at a moment. I'm drawing today. If I have to pick a random picture on the internet to practice drawing, then I'll do that. But I can't stare at a blank canvas. There's what's it? There's going that's got to get done.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, I don't have time to sit around and monkey with poses. And when I come back from work, I have to put out a page of Cosmonaut up on Facebook. I got to put it out there, and I've given myself that task.
Yeah.
Like, I need to get home, and in the 45 minutes from the time I get home to the time I need to go inside and make my presence known as a husband and father,
Yeah.
I need to get this stuff done and out. So I'll come in real fast, and if I don't have a lot of time, then I'll get you'll get a splash page like this, real simple.
Yep.
So, but it's got to get done. It's got to get done. And I give myself those timelines. And I think that if you don't, you're really going to start to get lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
And also that the Black Emerald book, it's not going to be by itself. It's a 16-page black and white, but that I'm also offering that with a little mini story.
That's right. Yeah. So it's like a 4-page or 8-page mini story.
No, 6.
6-page. All right.
Yeah, and I've gotten. Well, the thing is, I was going to do my story originally, but I guess I was told that it might be too hardcore for the general audience.
Okay.
So where my writer is sending me another script, because I had originally done a little 6-page primer about a young girl hiding under a bed, and she's plotting to kill her parents.
Okay.
And in particular her father. And her mother's telling her, "You need to get out from under that bed. Your dad's going to be home soon. And what do you want for dinner?" And blah, blah, blah. And the whole time it's just her in real dark shadows. And she had found a piece of a broken plate under her bed. And she's fingering that broken plate because she's contemplating murder. And it's supposed to be a little psych out because you think she's some sort of a psychopath. But when the dad comes home, you end up finding out that she's and the scene starts to pan back. You start to realize that this little girl is actually trapped in her room and she's being abused.
Okay. Yeah. That is dark, but
yeah. So we were talking about that, and he's like, it might be a little bit too much for just the the passing comic fan. So maybe we might do something a little more of a mystery instead of so much as something too dark. So that first story we're going to revamp it. So
yeah. So we didn't get the real story spoiler. We got a draft of the story spoiler.
Now, right. I don't want to give away real spoilers.
Right. Like dark subjects can reveal, a lot about ourselves, right? We, like so many good stories have a lot of evil stuff happening in them. I mean, Reuben, like the second part of the Joseph story, there's like sex, there's, attempted murder, there's scandal and betrayal. Boy, it's an aspect of good storytelling is you have that evil side of life that you contrast with the good.
Yes. And that's what I don't want to be too afraid to do tell the story that I want to tell, because there are ways to get your point across, whether it be in the artwork or whether it be in the writing. And I don't want to cut myself short or cut myself off at the knees for the sake of PC, but at the same time, I can't get too out there because comics are for everyone, Because as an adult, you tend to want to do adult themes in books. So I gotta curb myself because I get too. I'll get my own self lost in the weeds. But we're probably going to be doing a different story about the 6-page story is probably going to be about. I think it's going to be about gambling.
Interesting. Now, will it feature the same characters from the Black Emerald universe?
No, completely separate.
Completely separate.
The Black Emerald is a short story. It's almost like something that would be in an anthology, like a one and done, quick story. And the other one's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a self-contained story. You don't need to have any other information about it. It explains itself. And yeah, for $2, it's not even really a risk. So
I know. Yeah. So, by the way, if you guys want to see these, I've included the link to the Black Emerald in Indiegogo in the description below. So it's just the digital comics, but you can get it. You can support our boy John Dillard, and this one though it may be coming down the road later. So the Last Judge is a separate project for maybe next year.
Yeah.
Or maybe this year at the rate you're going, if you keep cranking these out.
Yeah, well, I actually haven't decided whether I wanted to do this the entire story and have it all done, or make it a ongoing thing. Because there's so much story there that I have that I don't know if I can fit it all into one graphic novel.
Right. Or like a first story, but leaving the door open for more down the road,
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Tell us a little bit about your experience with YouTube. What's it been like, like learning to do the video stuff, setting up the camera? Have you learned some ins and outs doing YouTube?
Yes, and it's been awful. Like I didn't come from a very wealthy neighborhood or rich family, so I don't really have the history of working with computers. Like when I was in high school, my senior year, like they had just started talking about getting a computer lab. So
Wow.
I kind of missed out on that. And the thing is, I graduated high school back in 2002.
Yeah.
And so that's really behind the curve, my neighborhood. But so I didn't have that. I mean, I finished my paperwork on, we had to break out the typewriter with the ribbon and so I'm kind of not too keen on the I'm not too familiar with working with computers. So I've had to kind of teach myself as I go along.
Yeah.
The YouTube thing. But it's been there's a lot of help out there if you don't know what you're doing. There's especially a lot of people in this community. They help out a lot. I was on a live stream earlier and we were talking about how to do things, and they would tell me, "Yeah, just click there, then there, then there, then there." I said, "Oh, thank you." Yeah, the comics community is super helpful when it comes to trying to get your projects done and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Jonah Arts is drawing while listening and asks, do you have any advice for people who do commissions?
Yeah. I mean, price your commissions so that you're not wasting your time. Because I mean, if you're good, then charge what anybody else would charge that's good.
Yep. Because if you underprice yourself, people will buy your underpriced work.
Yes, they will. There'll be no shortage of lots of work for you to do. Lots of work for you to do at a loss to yourself.
Yeah.
Because people want that hard work.
Barely covers the price of materials at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like these Bristol papers they're not cheap. The pens, the inking pens are not cheap. And these are disposable.
Yeah.
And even just a pack of this is 15. A pack of, comic boards, $17 on Amazon.
Yeah.
This stuff ain't cheap. And your time is definitely not cheap.
Yeah. It is interesting how there's maybe like a parallel between the networking and technological aspect of selling yourself, where you got to learn, you got to learn on a curve and keep teaching yourself as you go. And maybe a little bit of that to art too, especially if you're self-taught or you're just doing it in your spare time, then, you have to find like the good books. You have to find the good reference images. It's really, it takes a get up and go attitude.
Yeah. And there's no way to tell whether what you're doing, which is really hard for me, is what you're investing your time in, is it going to pay off for you?
Yeah.
So you got to be real careful about recommendations and what you really want to work on, what you want to invest your life, your time
Yeah.
into.
Tell us some things you've learned. So I asked you about like, learning the ins and outs of YouTube, that kind of stuff. Tell us what you've learned about art as you've been dedicating yourself to this.
In particular, not as good as I thought I was.
Hmm.
When you when you start doing sequential art, doing comics is not easy,
Yeah.
and I'm definitely not as good as I thought I was. I needed to get a little more practice in on the sequentials and storytelling itself from panel to
Yeah.
panel.
Because you could draw a masterful piece every panel, but if the person doesn't understand what's going on, then it's not
Hmm.
good comic art because they're getting lost.
Yes, and that's what I would typically do when I drew. I used to draw just one piece, one big fantastic looking uh, piece of work, but this has to be a everything has to match, everything has to rhyme, and if it doesn't, it shows real fast. So I really had to work on that when it comes to the artwork of the comics. And on top of that, it seems like the more you do it, because I'm still so new at it, I'm constantly learning every time I do a page, to the point where the page I did previous is cringy to me to the page I'm working on right now. But yeah, so I mean, but you can't let that stop you. You gotta you gotta keep plugging away. Never go back and redraw anything. If you did it, move on.
Yep. You can't be you can't be a perfectionist in comic art because
No.
it's hundreds of drawings to tell us to do one project as opposed to one polished drawing equals one project.
Hmm.
What you worked with a writer for Black Emerald, and your writer did your writer do the lettering too?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the thing that I really when I posted the ad for, does anybody have any short stories that I could work on, I made sure to tell them I don't know anything about comic production.
Yeah.
So I need somebody to really hold my hand. I'll do the work. I'll put it up. I'll spend the days and days and days working on each page
Yeah.
with loving care, but I need someone to go in there and do all the post production and the pre press,
Yeah.
and get everything real tidied up. And then on top of that, teach me about it because I want to know. And he, in that aspect, he was really good about that. I mean, he got it, cleaned it all up. It looked fantastic after I got it back from him. I got, cleaned up, finished drawings. And I have never, before that, I had never even scanned a piece of artwork in. I had to go, that was my first time going to, FedEx office and getting all the pages scanned in and sending them out and getting it back. It was super fun. That's one thing about this that I didn't expect, but doing comics is really fun.
Yeah.
When you get to see your work come back with different people having touched it, it's really cool.
And so maybe that's something that's worth pointing out is one reason I want to see people supporting you is sharing your if you just did art and put it in a folder and didn't show it to anybody, like no one will get to experience it. So it's sharing your work with the world where you start to get maybe some people roast you and you come back and you learn from that, or you get some real appreciation. That's one of the big joys of being an artist. And you when you do fan art, you're giving that joy to other people who get to see their characters drawn by someone else, right? That's a special moment. And so
Mhm.
I want to see you get to have that for some of the characters you've made.
Oh, that'd be great. No, that's what, and the thing is, I am not opposed to being roasted. I'm perfectly fine with that. I was actually on uh, Mike S. Miller's channel, the Blacklist Universe, drawn and
Yeah,
quartered,
yeah,
and I was getting roasted heavy in the
yeah.
end. But I was able to give a little bit of it back too. But
Good.
it's really fun when you're around other artists and they're not afraid to just tell you, dude, your stuff sucks. What is that? It's very freeing. And people don't like to, I don't know. I don't know why, but I've met a lot of artists that do not like to hear their stuff being critiqued.
Yep.
And I love it. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. it shows that people care enough to talk about your work. Like it's worse to say, that's interesting, and then they don't give you any detail, right?
Yeah. They go, oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're killing me. Don't tell me that.
I like
But
how
no,
you actually are allowed to have cigars in your work.
yeah. This ain't Marvel.
Chased Ethan Van Sciver right out the Wolverine.
I was, and that's the thing. When I was young, I liked the people that look cool. That's the thing that brought me into. We used to have a comic book shop right next to our house. It was called Kemp's Comic and Cards,
Huh.
and it was like the same exact distance from the liquor store to the comic shop. It was like a little route we used to take: the liquor store, comic shop, P&G's Burgers, and then back
Yeah.
home. And we would go and buy, stink bombs and novelties and, packs of Spider-Man comic cards and comic books every now and then, but they were a little bit too pricey at the
Uh-huh.
time. But it was great. And that kind of, when I was walking by, I would always walk by and never went in, because to me, being most comic book people are shy by nature.
Yeah.
I would always be too nervous to go into the comic book store until I saw this really awesome poster outside of Ghost Rider. And I think for most young boys, they really resonate with Ghost Rider because he's the Wolverine. He's the Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's the character that's just, he only exists to be badass.
Yeah.
You know?
He's literally like riding around on a motorcycle with a giant flaming skull. Yeah.
Yeah, spikes on his jacket. It's amazing. Chains everywhere. And that's what actually drew me in. I was like, oh, I gotta see what this is. And I actually bought a Ghost Rider comic book.
Visual appeal. Visual appeal is such a big deal, and uh, you can't sell a comic book on just like like having a tee hee I'm so silly sense of humor about it all. You got to like promise the kid $4. I better be saying, whoa, this is freaking balls nasty or something while reading it.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these advertisements in the comic books when you flip through them, and you see one for, Bendis is coming. I'm like, okay, just because I know who Bendis is, I'm like, okay, Bendis is coming. But I don't see a box of text that says Bendis is coming. I see a picture. You know what I mean? And you get, I believe that this is primarily when Zach talks about who should be ascendant in the comic book industry, I do believe it should be the artist.
Yeah.
Because this is just, to me, this medium demands that you have something really cool.
Yeah. That's what sells the book.
Yeah. Like I know that a good story and a good writer will probably keep them coming back. But just to actually get butts in the store, I don't know if it's for everyone, but just for me, it's the imagery.
Yep. Which is true because I can read novels and imagine pretty pictures in my head. So really, the unique appeal of comics is the artist's edition.
Because I remember, I mean, then when I stopped reading comics for a while, and when I went back in again, it was a poster, and it was the poster of the Flash, where he's pulling up his boots and he has all that the Speed Force just crackling around him.
Yeah.
And I believe that was in a Van Sciver piece. Huh. And that was what actually, I didn't even know that because I only remember scenes. I don't remember artist names. I don't remember writers, editors. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow. Oh, when I saw Ethan talking about that picture he drew, I was like, that's the picture that actually got me back into a comic book store because it looks so cool.
Yeah.
So I really think it's up to the artist draw the people in.
Jonah Arts asks, what is the brand of pen you're using?
This is a Copic multiliner, but it's not the refillable fancy ones. These are just the disposable. When they're out, you got to toss them.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your villain's name again?
Oh, this one, what was his name? Oh, this one's name is Frank or Pancho.
Pancho. Cool.
Yeah, but he's not the main villain.
All right.
The main villain is Amos, the angel. This guy's just a low level guy that works for the main mafia guy in town.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
Right.
this guy's not going to be around too long.
Rex Warden says he uses Sakura Micron. Purchased back in 2000, so he's been using the same pen for 18 years.
These ones here, these little microns.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are really good.
I love those. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't really have a brand that I like to work with. I just if it throws down archival ink, I'll use it.
Yep.
Like I use these ones. I don't know. I got these from Pen something. This is a fantastic one because it throws a small line. You can do a small line, but when you want, because the pen tip is like a plastic that has slits in it.
Yeah.
So when you push down with more force, you can actually get a real fat line. And it also does real fine lines. I mean, and then I also work with this, which is just a little mixture of Higgins India ink mixed with Black Magic ink, because one's too thin and one's too thick. So I just mix them together and put them in this ink pen and work with that. And that's good for covering big areas of black.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't have a lot of brand loyalty to any one thing. But
as long as you can draw with it.
As long as I can draw with it, and as long as it's archival ink. You need a good quality ink because I need the ink to match up. I also have one of those big fat Copic sketch markers.
Yeah.
Cover big areas of a black background. Which
also, oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, I was done.
I was going to ask. So you mentioned that Black Emerald was probably one of your first times trying to do sequential art, but you've clearly been drawing for a long time. So could you tell us a little bit about your experience with drawing, prior to discovering your boy Zach?
Okay, yeah. I started drawing honestly as long as I've been drawing forever, but
yeah.
My dad was a scumbag.
Oh,
so he was always in jail. And he's since reformed, but
well, that's good.
But he was a piece of work. So he was always in jail, and he would send me letters from jail with drawings on them. Jailhouse drawings,
Yeah.
And I would read the letters and be sad, and I would copy the drawings, which is kind of where I learned how to do, which is kind of where I first learned line weight, because for the shadows and stuff, and that was kind of like me cutting my teeth and drawing for the first time, and and that was since then. I mean, I've never actually had what you would call like formal schooling, but I've always been interested. So I did my own research. I think I did a community college course of like intro to drawing. That was terrible, and
I'm sure
it was agony just sitting there listening to this jerk bluster on about
the secret of drawing is
the secret of drawing is don't be me. And honestly, all it really did was teach me the names of the things that I was already doing.
Yeah.
Which
can be good to kind of like consciously keep it in mind, but you actually got to practice it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the best teachers, maybe they can kind of like show you as they do it, so you can sort of visually see it and maybe put two and two together if you're struggling. And they point you in the direction of like good stuff in history to look at. Like they show you, okay, here's Michelangelo's drawings, do stuff like that. But really, the most they can do is kind of motivate you to have the attitude you need to get it done.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the main, honestly, the main information I got from art history, I know you talk a lot about art history, but the main stuff that I would learn would be, I know my mom had went to college later in life, and she had this big book in the bathroom, and it was called Art Through the Ages.
Oh, yeah.
I would just flip through that and read that, and when I was in the restroom, or if I felt like I had nothing to do, and that's where I got most of my information. I don't have like a real formal education in art or anything.
Now you're getting that glowy eye. Nice.
Mm.
What's the first fan art project you can recall doing for Comicsgate? Would it have been Jawbreakers or something else?
What was it? I think it was Pacifica, because I actually wanted to do comic artwork, and
Yeah.
I started sending Zach a bunch of emails. Whenever I would do a fan art, I would email it to him, and I didn't have a Twitter back then, so it was just the emails. And he had talked about this story called Pacifica, which was like a sci-fi story.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's really cool sounding. And I did a piece and I sent it to him. And then he sent me back an email. I was like, this is really cool. And I sent another one, I think a couple of days later, which he used for one of his video thumbnails.
Yeah.
And he sent me back an email saying, how much do you charge per page?
Ooh.
And I was like, I got all excited, you know? And I was like, I'll do it for copies of the book. And then he was like, oh, I feel more comfortable paying you per page. And I'm like, well, okay then. And I told him, and he said, okay, I'll get back to you on it. And then that kind of just died on the vine. You know how he is. He moves on. He moves on to a different topic really fast.
Pacifica was the one about the alien who knew like the secret history of Earth, right?
Yes.
All right. That's one of his better ideas, I think. I mean, sometimes he'll just like throw out an idea for a story, and then I think Jawbreakers is his passion. So he really wants to do Jawbreakers. But of all the like random stories he's talked about, Pacifica to me is the most interesting one.
Yeah, that's the one that really got my imagination flowing. And when something gets your imagination flowing, you want to like leech onto that. Like when I saw the first time I saw the Sporkman comic book,
yeah,
I was like, oh my god, I couldn't stop thinking about Sporkman all day.
Yep, exactly. It sticks in your head. And that cover you did for them was so freaking dope. I think they already got a cover artist lined up, but I mean, they got to have you like as a variant cover artist, fan art section. That would sell books right there. That's Sporkman you did.
Which one were you talking about? I did. The thing is, I liked it so much. I did like 3 or 4 different Sporkman pictures.
Okay,
yeah.
The one that they tweeted out of like it was like sort of a worm's eye view of Sporkman doing a crazy pose.
Oh yeah, the Ginyu Force pose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that one. I did one with like a rising sun behind him. I did another one with him jumping into action. No, but when you get those things, like I don't know about you, but when I see something really creative and something I really like, something new, it gives me nightmares. Like I'll dream about it and I'll start having like nightmares about it.
Wow.
When it's real creative. Like the first time I saw Pan's Labyrinth, it gave me nightmares. And it wasn't even that scary of a movie. It was some of the parts were gross, but it wasn't scary. It's not the horror aspect of it. It's just stuff you've never thought to see or thought you would imagine you'd see.
Yeah.
And it starts getting those juices flowing while you're sleeping in your brain. And that's the kind of stuff you really got to glob onto, which is why I went for that Pacifica. I was like, oh, I couldn't get it out of my mind. So I kept drawing drawings. But he kind of let that die. So I was like, well, I got to get at it from a different aspect. Because I wanted to do something, and I wanted to do something with diversity in comics.
Yeah. And
then when he started coming out with the Jawbreakers Lost Souls, I threw a fan art out there of the whole Jawbreakers team in jungle gear.
Yeah.
And he hit me up and was like, would you be interested in working on Lost Souls? And I was, of course I said, hell yeah. And then I didn't hear from him for about a couple of days. And then that, I guess, which at that point, that was when he got in touch with an established artist, John Malin.
I think John Malin was like one of his dream artists to begin with. Yeah, he was probably like scoping around for talent.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been something if you were the Lost Souls artist.
Yeah, and then I was like all salty with John Malin because he stole my comic book.
We'll find more jobs for you. I mean, one of the things was John Malin got screwed right out of a job at Marvel, so I think there is an element of let's help out John Malin because they're they're what's the word? Roasting this guy over the coals.
Raking him over the coals.
Rex Warden says he took my germ.
He took my germ. No, it was like, yeah, I mean, I was salty, but I got over it real fast. But okay. I'm not that been out of shape, but I was like, oh, that was my opportunity. Because again, that's when I started doing the gaming the system channel.
Yeah.
Which is I'm trying to be as upfront as I can about it, but I'm trying to get into comics and I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah.
And I was going to do a play on the whole ars gratia artis, the art for the sake of art, or art for art's sake, and name my channel the Latin phrase for art for the sake of money.
Yeah.
Because who wants to do art for art's sake?
Right.
And but I think the when I conjugated the Latin, it sounded stupid, so
awkward.
I didn't go with that. But that's the whole point of it, and I wanted to be as forthright about that as I can. But at the same time, you got to be sneaky and you got to be wily to get into these people's channels.
Yeah,
these are really popular people, and they have a lot of stuff going on. Like, it took a lot for me to get on that Drawn and Quartered show. I had to give myself a budget of a certain amount of money to super chat in a week. I was like, okay, I'm gonna dedicate $20 to just super chats, and I'm gonna focus those super chats on Mike Miller's channel.
Yeah.
So every now and then I would drop just to get my name out there. I need that name recognition.
Right.
And then that's when I saw a guy named Pixel Trader.
Yeah.
And he has a YouTube channel, and he was talking about having a Drawn and Quartered fan edition. And I had just branded myself like a few weeks back as the #1 official Comicsgate fan artist.
Yeah.
So I went on there and I started harassing him and saying, "How are you going to have this sham of a competition without inviting John Dillard, the #1 official fan artist of Comicsgate?"
Yep.
So they said, "Okay, well, we'll have you on." And I went on the fan edition and I won it, and which means nothing. It's just a fan edition,
right.
You know. So, but what I did was I pretended that it did mean something, and I started harassing Miller and Malin and Boyette and telling him, "I'm the official fan artist champion. I deserve to be on your show. I'm at least better than Malin." And after I spent that amount of time super chatting all that stuff, I got it. He's like, "Well, come and show us then." I got the invitation to go on the Drawn and Quartered. So this is me trying to game the system, trying to get my name noticed in this community,
right,
and get myself out there, because I don't want to go through the normal channels. I don't have time to go to cons all over the Southwest and try to establish myself that way. And why should I have to?
Right.
I'm going to be working from home anyway.
We're in an age where the internet has made so much stuff irrelevant. Like, I think the entire university art school where you learn to do period blood art for just the low price of a few $100,000. The internet's made that entire system irrelevant, because now you can just learn about art by paying for Wi-Fi, and you can connect with customers for a comic book just with Wi-Fi and doing some networking, and that's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You have the exact right attitude to really to connect with the people you'd actually want to connect with, like the kind of people who just care about a percentage of woke messages in their comics. They're not going to be invested in really great art because they have completely different priorities. You're connecting with people who dig like really solid but expressive pencil lines, and then combined with inks. Mm-hmm. That sort of psychedelic, I've never quite seen a Ren and Stimpy / Renaissance, jam up, but when you describe it that way, you kind of see it.
Yeah, and that's what I want. That's what I want to do. I want to show people that it's not impossible for you to get into comics. If you're into comics, then get into comics, and it doesn't take a mountain of available time. You can do it in your spare time.
Yeah.
If it's something that you've already established that you're going to put in the work to be good at it. And I've put in countless hours into drawing. So I feel that I've at least earned a spot to compete.
Yeah.
barring that, there should be no limit to what you can and cannot do, no matter what your age or orientation or whatever.
Rex Warden says Renaissance and Stimpy.
I went and I did the work. I went to Florence and I sat in the Galleria Academia and I drew the David. I studied anatomy and I did the nude drawing classes and sat on park benches for hours and hours and drew people that were walking by.
Yeah.
I put in the work. I mean, I'm not just out here drawing from what I've seen in a comic book.
Yep. Draw from life. That's probably one of the best pieces of advice you can get.
Yep. And you get so good so fast when you just take a couple of days to just draw from life. It's amazing.
Do you anticipate hiring a letterer for The Last Judge, or are you going to try to learn to do some of that on your own?
I'll probably end up hiring a letterer.
Okay.
Unless I can. Unless it's not as hard as I think it is, but it looks pretty hard.
I know that's the reason it's a job, is you think, oh, it's just letters until you try it.
Yeah, I mean, none of this stuff is easy, but I mean, again, I don't really know too much about making comics, so I still need a lot of information on that. Let's see. Yeah, he's good.
Jonas says lettering is heck for me.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you got to consider even when you're drawing the page. It's not something you just throw on afterwards. You can really tell when you just slap it on afterwards.
Yeah, like Microsoft Word speech balloon look. That's what it looks like. Microsoft Word art.
Yeah.
And you're just slapping on a template.
Yeah, and like I said before, like I was saying on my channel, this stuff it's just as valuable as any other comic book.
Yeah.
So you got to take the time to appreciate it and give it the respect that it deserves, because this is even though you don't work for the big two, it's not like you spent any less time on this book. Like, this is something that you worked on. You devoted a piece of your life to it, and you don't want to just slapdash throw it out there when it's done.
Nice, getting some of that skin texture in there.
This is going to be his hairline.
Nice. Yeah, because he shaves bald, but he still got that.
He's bald. And I'm going to give him actually a tattoo on his head.
Nice. Villainy increases. Tell us a little bit about. Well, I guess we've gotten the vibe that you try to crank this out in like your 45 minutes, right, between work and family life. You've just developed the habit of having to crank out work, which I appreciate, because I think working quickly. There's just a long history of working quickly. Could you talk a little bit about your setup? Like, you sit down, you get your things together, you get in your mental space. What do you do to maybe tighten up? Like some people I knew from art school they dink around for 30 minutes before they get started. So how do you tighten up your process?
Honestly, what I start to do sometimes if I'm dinking around or I find myself not focusing is start with inks.
Yeah.
To kind of shock myself into saying, bro, you're making big decisions here. You better pay attention.
Yeah.
So I do. I'll go in and start doing all the borders with inks, so that I kind of give myself like I said before, it's sometimes it's hard for artists to focus on something, without having somebody tell you do this and do that. So what I'll do is I'll box myself out a series of panels, and then force myself to work within those panels. make the story work within those panels, and then it kind of forces you to, oh, I got to stop playing around because I got to think about how I'm going to get the most expressive or the most important panel on the page in this large box, and then break everything down into the smaller boxes, you know? So, I mean, giving yourself those markers and those must do's for me is what gets me out of my little stagnation.
Yep.
When I sit down.
It's like shocking yourself into paying attention.
Yes.
Do you ever use music or anything to kind of get you into the zone?
No, I watch Marmaduke.
Nice. The best way to get yourself into the mental attitude to make art. You heard it from the Comicsgate's #1 fan artist.
That's how you do it. Yeah, I watch YouTube. I watch your channel. I watch Doug Ernst, Diversity. If I got time, I'll listen to an Ethan live stream. But those things have been getting longer and longer and longer. And I don't like starting to listen to one and then having to stop. So,
ooh, the metal says VTC Letter of Pro is the best font for most situations if you don't have a specific look. It's a classic cartoonist style.
What is VTC? What is that?
That I think it's a font recommendation. So if you're looking for like an old school comic book letter font that isn't like Comic Sans, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Indie Dave Comics says Anime Ace is good. Comica and its variants were free online and look good. Okay.
All right. And what does that mean, free online? Does that mean that they have like a little program you download, or does that mean that?
Well, when I've done a font, usually like some font designer will just put their font for free on like a font site, like DA Font or something, and then you download it and just put it in your Photoshop, and then boom, you can type in their font. So,
oh, so you're saying I got to get Photoshop?
Some people get by with GIMP. I'm gonna try the one that Zach recommends. You know, Manga Studio Pro or Clip Art Studio Pro. Clip Art Studio Pro is a horrible name. They should have kept with manga and kept with like your target audience. But I guess they wanted to go for like, the people who do like what do you call it, like farmers market publications, and they need clip art, so they wanted to have clip art in the name.
Oh yeah. I always thought that was actually really cool. People that would do the clip art.
Yeah.
I always wanted to do that, but
yeah,
never got around to it. Because I mean, that stuff. I mean, one of the things that I think I have a strength in drawing is that because I'm such a passive consumer of media, I kind of get to know what people want a little better than they know what they want.
Yeah.
Like I have a little bit of a history doing tattoos, and people would tell me, "Oh, I want something like this," and I would say, "You don't want that. Let me show you what you want." And I do a quick drawing. That's exactly what I want. Right. You know,
more good at verbalizing in words the visual picture.
Yeah, and I think that was my strength. Like when people think of a clip art they want to use for their farmers market, whatever. I want a picture of an outhouse, or I want a picture of this or that.
Yep.
I have a pretty good idea in my head of what they're thinking. So, and I could probably crank it out, and it would be preferred more than other drawings. That to me, I mean, that's my strongest suit in artwork, because I'm not the best artist that I know, but I am fast, and I do have a pretty good understanding of what people that just consume media casually, what they like.
Yeah. That's I call that like visual intelligence, the ability to just take one look at something and know it looks good. Because I think some people, they know it looks good or bad, maybe like at the gut level, but they don't know how to say it, or they're not good at like spotting it. And so then artists, either you're taught to do it or you just learn to do it over time just from practicing it so much. But when you start looking on purpose for what looks horrible, and you get like annoyed by it, then you spot it more quickly, because it's like anything. The more you practice it, the more you pick it up.
Yeah, and you do it while you're drawing. Like when I'm drawing right now and I'm putting down these outlines, I can tell where I need to cut in on the body a little more, or where out, because it just, as a gut feeling, it just looks off, and you kind of fix that as you're working. And hopefully you have that, when you're drawing, you have that almost like a sixth sense to what needs to be taken out or moved. Or and the thing is, people will say, "Oh, you know, there's a lot of things you can go to school and you can learn what a tangent is, and you can go to school and you can learn what you know, composition is." But if you can't look at your drawing and say this is bad composition,
Right.
or there's something off with it, I need to change it. Because if you draw and you just draw naturally,
Yeah.
your drawings will naturally come out with good composition.
Yeah.
Because you'll just see that that's not. I don't want to do that pose. I don't want to do that in this
If
panel.
you're
Let me change it up.
if you're a considerate artist, yeah, because you could be just like making it up as you go and not know it looks good if you're not thinking about it. You kind of have to like. The thing is, you got to get used to drawing, so it comes naturally to you. But you don't stop thinking while you're drawing, or else, or maybe you think with a different part of the brain than like the like super rational part of the brain, I guess. But you can't like zone out. It's so weird because I do zone out when I draw and I get into the rhythm of it, but I don't. I don't stop focusing on the page.
Mm-hmm. No, it's super hard when like it's hard for me to do my channel and draw and talk at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Again, I like you'll notice right now when I'm talking to you, sometimes I'll be drawing, or when I was drawing this ear, I stopped talking and
Getting into the zone.
I just trailed off because this is stuff you just have to pay attention to, which is why I don't understand people that listen to music. I guess they kind of use it as like ambient white noise in the background.
Right. I can't listen to anything with words in it.
Yeah, so like for me, I'll do that with the YouTube videos. I just use it as white noise in the background.
Yeah.
And every now and then take what's happening? What? Something I heard something interesting. Because I need that. You need that concentration when you're drawing.
That for the large black, you're using your brush.
Yeah. Well, this one, it failed me. During that drawn and quartered show, this started to run out of ink, so I kind of left it alone for a while just to get it. And these are expensive, these Copic markers, so
yeah.
I'm trying to get every last bit I can out of it. Then I want to go straight to using the inks, because sometimes the ink brush will drip on a page.
Well, I've loved watching this. The thing is, like, you get into it, and I kind of just get into watching you do it, because we saw it go from pencil sketch to nearing a finished panel right in front of us.
Yeah, pretty much. This is the one that caught my attention. This is why I started working on this one. Like I said, like I got to keep myself drawing on what I am interested in.
Yep.
Or I get bored. I want to go inside. I was like, I'll finish this later. But I got to make sure I give myself that pressure to, when I start something, to finish it out.
I like how that even has like a faint feather at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
It's almost painterly. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Even the C says, so relaxing watching people draw. I like to watch Jim Lee too. Yeah. I found his channel. I've watched a couple of Jim Lee videos.
Oh, his Twitch channel?
I didn't know he had a Twitch channel. I found his YouTube channel. I guess maybe he probably puts the same stuff on both.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I seen him on. Oh yeah, it was YouTube, but I think he's rebroadcasting it from Twitch. Because he's getting a bunch of tips and stuff while he's drawing.
What do you mentioned you like to watch my channel while drawing. What are some other channels that are good to watch while drawing?
Ooh. Like honestly, any channel that is not something that you have to visually look at.
Yeah.
Whatever you're into. Like I'm into a lot of different stuff. Like I said, I have I'm not a super fan of any one particular thing. So I have a lot of different interests. Like I'll watch. There's this channel called Penny Arcade.
Yep.
And I'll watch the PAX D&D competitions where they'll just play Dungeons and Dragons in the background, and I'll and just listen to their commentary on it. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
I'll watch any diversity in channel, diversity in comics video are really good for that. Except they're really short, so I got to keep drawing my attention away to go click on the next video.
Yeah.
But I do like.
But make so many, you could probably just put on play all, and you'll get like 3 new videos a day, or 6, 7 videos a week.
I know, but I've seen them all already.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is since I'm watching so often, I don't have a long backlog to catch up on.
I know. Like that's when because I remember when he said the whole, I got to come in with a stupid name like #1 Marmaduke fan and start a new channel.
And that video, okay, have you been able to find that video again? Because I swear I think he deleted it.
He might have. I don't know. I don't. I rarely go back to look at the old videos. But no, I don't remember that. I don't remember which video that was. So
I think he did delete it because he like mentioned Heather Antos, and then he got afraid of his YouTube channel getting taken down, so he like deleted every video that mentioned a pro or made fun of a pro.
Yeah, he does that.
It's like the vintages of Zach, right? And like the new fans, they don't understand like old vintage Zach, but then we can't even go back and re-experience it. He had to be there.
I loved it. It was great. That's what I liked about it. It's so grassroots, his movement.
Yeah. Ooh, now we're getting some.
Just getting some shading in.
Okay. So he's bald, but has maybe like a little bit of a ghostly shadow. Yeah. Really tight.
Oh my goodness! Did you see the Ethan Van Sciver Salamandroid he put up?
For his cover, you mean?
I don't know. I think it was a 2-page spread he was working on.
That I haven't seen yet.
Fighting some bees. Oh, made me want to open up my wrists. It was so good. Yeah, that's what it's gonna be. But yeah, I like doing this for the dark areas. It makes it look a little cleaner.
Nice.
But yeah, one thing I learned about this, and the best advice that I could give to anybody when it comes to drawing is just start putting marks on your paper and stop wasting your time. Because I mean,
you can't like trick yourself with like a top 10 list into becoming a great artist. You've really just got to do it.
And there's no reason not to. I mean, there's whiteout. There's you got a whole stack of paper next to you. Just if you don't like it, just crumple it up and put a new one.
Yep.
Because that's what when on my channel, when people do comment on it, they're asking me, and when I meet people, they ask me the same questions almost all the time. And it's how do you do this? And they'll hover over the paper with their pen, too scared to put down a line.
Yep. And
that's just you're just psyching yourself out the longer you do that. You just gotta start putting those lines down.
Reminds me of Norman and Harry Osborn here, but a little bit more tight. I love that. Like there's nothing like it in real life, just like those bright red and black stripes right across the head.
Oh, look. I'm gonna be honest, that used to bug me when I saw that. I was like, what the hell kind of hair is that?
We don't have an ink color for brown, so we gotta get creative with our red and black hair.
I think what I think it is, and something I never really noticed before when I was younger, but you notice a lot more when you're an adult, is the influence of Jewish culture.
Yeah.
Animation. And I think that was what it was supposed to be, to have almost like a Jew hair. The tight curly.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And I never used to notice that.
Wow, interesting.
But when you watch these cartoons, there's like a lot. There seems to be a lot of the Jewish influence on animation.
Yeah, well, like Chucky in Rugrats. That's clearly what that family is supposed to be. Or Arnold in uh, the Magic School Bus. Yeah,
Hmm.
they show up a lot. I mean, you could point to Will Eisner in comics. Like he was really interested in Jewish culture in a lot of his work because that's what he grew up with.
Yeah. And I seem to notice like every show, like there was even a new show my brother was telling me, oh, you should watch this show on Netflix. And it's I forget what it's called, but it's about these teens, like a coming of age, um, kids going through puberty.
Yeah,
And even in that, there was a little Jewish kid.
yep.
And the thing is, I've never knew because I grew up in Southern California. I don't think I've ever met a Jew in my life,
Huh.
but they're um, everywhere in
Yeah,
entertainment, and especially in the cartooning.
in the history of comics. Yeah,
Yeah, like everywhere, and quality stuff too.
Carl's Amateur Hour says Judaism has heavily influenced animation and comic books alike. Gus Tyler Bush says Chucky's hair is based on composer, Devo singer Mark Motherbach. Interesting. We're getting Nickelodeon factoids now. Nice. Any plans for like the upper portion of the area? Because you've got that kind of like
Yeah, there's going to be some
crackle
building.
effect. What's that?
Yeah, this is all a hedge,
Okay.
um, a bush. So what I'm going to do behind it is I'm going to do a little bit of a like an outbuilding for a school,
Yeah.
almost like a maintenance building, just kind of on this side, coming down a little bit. But I like to do that stuff afterwards because for the scene, if I'm focusing on the I'm sorry, this is all messed up. There we go. If I'm focusing on the person, then I'll draw the person first and put the buildings in after. And if I'm focusing on where they're at, I'll put the background in first, then add the people into it.
Yeah.
I think get this a little darker. Yeah, like that. So yeah, that's how I do things. Like I said, I like to do things real fast because I don't like to
Think
pretend that I
around
got
with every little
yeah. I don't like to pretend
corner.
that I got too much time.
So about how long would you say per? So for cosmonauts, you try to like crank out a page a day. So what would you say would be your pacing for The Last Judge? Maybe a little bit longer per page.
Yeah, this will take me because honestly, I don't get to work a full day on
Yeah.
a page. So I mean this will probably be somewhere in the neighborhood of a page every other day to every 3 days.
Still a really good pace when you think about it.
I try, and the thing is, I don't like to put up work that takes me a long time to do
Yeah.
because I don't want to false advertise that I can do stuff like that. Because when comics, you need to do work and you need to do work fast.
Yeah.
So I don't want to advertise that I can do something of a real high quality if it's taking me a real long time. Because anybody can draw, you know, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people can spend, a month on a really rendered out piece and it looks great, but that's not really realistic.
Yeah. Right. Zach calls those portfolio pieces. Like you spend a month on it, of course it looks great. Can you do it in a week?
Yeah. And what also kind of helped was I had to do a lot of the the work on my house.
Yeah.
So getting to do the eaves and the bracing and the 2x4s and stuff, it gives you a little bit of a better understanding of how buildings work.
Yeah.
Which actually was a lot more helpful in drawing than I thought it was going to be. But you kind of you have to observe all this stuff, and I really had to work on my when I first started. When I really had to work on my perspective was way off. I had put out a video, not a video, but Ethan Van Sciver had opened it up for portfolio reviews.
Yeah.
And I had sent one in for Black Emerald. And when I was working on it, and he tore it to shreds. And I was like, oh man, so I had
Really?
to
You
go
were
back.
one of those? I gotta go back and find that now.
Yeah. It was the one with the black girl in church.
Interesting. So people got a preview of Black Emerald on Ethan Van Sciver's show. Okay.
Yeah. And I had to go back and rework it. And that was actually like, you never really have to worry about perspective that much when you're doing just one picture.
Yeah.
Because it kind of works itself out. You know if it's looking off, or you spend so much time on the one picture, you know if it's looking off or not.
Yeah.
But because now when you're doing these sequentials, you're doing so many pictures so fast that you really need to nail that perspective down from the get-go, or else the whole thing's going to be off.
Yeah.
And that's how I had to. That was probably the biggest thing I needed to work on, was my perspective.
Metal writes, life experience helps art. Art starts to suffer when you start spending more time on the art than making experience to influence it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Jonah Arts asked, have you drawn mecha at all? Like mecha anime, I'm guessing?
Not really. I've done a couple of pieces for, again, I wanted to get on that Ethan Van Sciver's American manga idea, which was like, I think the premise of it was that it was, what do you call it? It was a group of people in middle America that were kind of like teenagers that work on cars, but instead of working on cars, they would work on mechs.
Yeah.
That built out of old cars. And I thought, oh, that's a fantastic idea. And I started doing a couple of pieces for that. And let me see. I might have to screen share that. But I'm scared that if I screen share, it might drop. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Let me should I try to screen share it, Marmaduke?
Yeah, definitely. Go for it.
Okay, let's see.
Just make sure there's nothing like Doxy on your screen.
Oh, I don't care about all that.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay, Google Hangouts. You are presenting to everyone. Screen share. All right, let's do that.
Okie dokie. Infinite loop.
Is that what's going on?
Yep. But then when you click away, then you'll show it. There we go. Yeah, I remember you sharing that.
Yeah, this is the stop it with this commentary right here. What is
Oh, that's your Twitter comment popping up.
Yeah, this is the Jeep that I was working on. And I saw this because I'm working on a go-kart. So I was looking for like bodies for the go-kart. And I came across this body that was a miniature Jeep. I was like, oh, that's super cool. But then I saw the miniature Jeep and I was like, that would be awesome for this girl to be riding around in the American manga comic. So that's what I had. I put her in a little, it was a body for a golf cart Jeep.
Yeah.
And I kind of just did, that's the only really mechanical thing that I did. And then I did this other picture, which was, oh, that's a Spork Man. Here we go. Everybody in their cars. Oops. Mm. No, I'm not able to get this bigger for some reason.
Can you right click it?
Mm.
Come on, Twitter, make it work for us. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd
there we
buy
go.
that comic.
So it's just a bunch of rednecks. This girl's on her quad, and this Nova. This guy, getting chased by this old Chevy truck that's turning into a mech.
Yeah,
But
hillbilly
yeah,
giant robots.
mhm. Like I'm not gonna lie, doing vehicles is definitely a lot harder than
Oh yeah,
you know. Let me get rid of this. How do I stop screen share?
I think you just click on the button again, and then it should go back to yeah.
There we go. Yeah, so I mean, I don't have a lot of experience doing the machinery, just
Yeah.
because it's very specific and it does take a real long time to do machinery. Like hands and feet. There's some things that are just harder to get right. But I can draw it if I try.
Carl's Amateur Hour writes, I love this concept. John Arts asks, why is he zoomed in at 200%? Well, because he's showing us the specific part of the drawing he's working on, so we can see the details. Like if it was zoomed out, then, we just see a teeny tiny little thing in the corner of the screen.
Oh, the American manga?
Yeah. Well, I assumed for the comic book part, but maybe for American manga too.
For this here?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure. So, Jonah, were you talking about like the comic book page he was showing, or were you talking about like the American manga stuff on Twitter? I mean, you guys can go to his Twitter and check out all his art and like it and retweet it, because then you can look at it at full size on your screens.
Yeah, feel free to do that. Yeah, my Twitter is John Dillard Gaming the System. I think my Twitter handle is Dillard GTS.
Okay, that sounds right.
And yeah. I think I'm gonna put a little bit of a pediment on this building.
Nice.
And yeah, like I said, I haven't been doing this too long. I watched that Ethan Van Sciver video. He was talking about how to be a comic book artist, and I went to Michael's and got all the same things he was talking about: this ruler, this sharpener, this lead holder, the Staedtler lead holder.
Nice.
So yeah, this is, and the thing is, this is probably the closest thing that I felt like this is what I'm supposed to be doing, because when I started doing this, everything started clicking into place, and I started having a blast when I was doing these comic books. So I was like, you know what, this is probably what I was meant to be doing instead of
Good.
anything else.
And I want to see you make that happen, and make that bring home some bacon for the family, because you've got the stuff and you've got the drive, and I as long as you keep at it, I can't wait. That's the thing that I was so happy when Jawbreakers went viral and succeeded, because it was it was beyond just being like a ha moment for the SJWs. It was something I'd been kind of rooting to happen since his channel had I think I hopped in when he had about 600 subs, right? So it's like watching your baby grow up, and it's like, oh, it's like Mushu and Milan. My baby's growing up and off destroying people.
Without saving China.
Sargon of Akkad. I knew Sargon of Akkad when he probably had 2,000 subs is when I hopped on the Sargon of Akkad bandwagon. He used to actually answer all his comments back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I missed that. I think that was my goal, because I think I found Zach when he was probably around 2,000 viewers, or subscribers, and I was trying real hard to be like, I'm gonna get into this comic book industry, and this guy seems to be shooting off like he's rocketing to stardom. So I need to hitch my plow up to this ox. But I started sending in a bunch of fan art, trying to game the system that way. And he just got way too big, way too fast. Like he blew up. He was super popular really quick.
Well, I think he nailed what a lot of people were thinking. I'd been thinking for years that something weird was going on at Marvel, but there was no one like just hammering it home talking about it. And so he comes and he, will like show an old comic book from 1990s to make his point. And then of course the idiots in comics make their own enemies. Like if they just ignored him, he wouldn't be as big as he is. They made him who he is by saying he's an alt-right Nazi Hitler reincarnated Stalin.
Yeah, I don't even know how. The thing is, I don't know how people can honestly think that.
That's why I started my channel. Was I was already like paying attention to him, and like I got railroaded by this social justice nonsense in school, where like half of my classmates, that's all they did was social justice, politics. But then they'd like present that as their art piece. So I really wanted to talk about that because it was this really surreal experience where I thought I was learning about real art, and I'm surrounded by like these weird Marxists with like a weird like religious political perspective. It kind of drives you a little nuts when you're stuck in that world, and then you get out into the real world and you realize, okay, people want comic books with fun stuff going on and adventure and like beautiful men and women. It's not a real world. It's a fantasy world that they live in on those college campuses.
Yeah, it is, and it is really frustrating. I've experienced it. And the thing is, I've experienced it at a very low level because I didn't go to a very liberal school or anything, and I didn't even finish college. So I was, when I went, it was just very superficial. But even just a little bit that I was exposed to, I was unhappy. And I said, well, I don't want to sit around and have these high school backyard conversations about, those party conversations where people start getting too emotional.
Yeah.
And that's all everybody did all day long at the little community college I was at. I was like, I don't want to be a part of this. We'll do something else. We'll go to work.
People are telling Sargon jokes in the chat. Poor Sargon, he got roasted. Let's see here. People are talking about, oh, okay, Jonah Arts. What's the ruler? It's a see-through ruler, and it has a dimension for every like fraction of an inch. Do you remember the brand name off the top of your head, John?
I sure do. It's called Artist's Loft.
Is Loft?
Artist's Loft.
Artist's Loft. Okay. Yeah, I've used that exact same ruler. That's the best one. Don't go with any like stupid metal ruler. That actually lets you see what you're doing.
The one that has this pink tinge to it is the best one. The clear one, I bought the clear one because I didn't like these pink lines, but the clear one's too thick.
Yeah.
This one you can get real fine lines in there.
Almost done with that panel, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done with it. I just put a little bit of texture on it, but.
What are some comics you've been reading now that you've gotten back into comics?
I tried getting into the Spider-Man one that the Zdarsky Spider-Man one that Zach was recommending. I didn't like it too much though.
Okay.
Because the drawings in there actually were not interesting me at all. So I was like, But
I think
the Bonehead.
Yeah. His first Move the Needle one, right? Or no, that was one of his later Move the Needle ones.
Yeah. Let me take a look real quick. Because I got the definitely the what do you call it? Yeah, I got this one. Yeah. And then this one, the Spider-Man ones that he was recommending, but this one was fantastic.
Yeah.
The White Knights were fantastic. The Boneheads were fantastic.
Yeah.
And
hashtag Move the Needle.
Yeah, it was the Move the Needle thing. I was like, oh, let me go check these out then. And this was great. I like this a lot.
Oh no, this was Yeah. Is that with Peralta?
I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't really read the artist names and.
Okay. It kind of had to become like you're a big artist bro before you learn their name.
Yeah,
You gotta earn
exactly.
me remembering your name.
Yeah, I'm not a cheap date. But yeah, and then I started reading the Doomsday Clock.
What do you think of Doomsday Clock?
Um, I'm not impressed, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be. The thing is a lot of the times it gets a little muddled, and I don't really see what's going on because they're not focusing on what's going on. They're focusing on something else. Like for instance, there's one panel where where they're fighting, and he's holding a cat the entire time.
Yeah.
Inside of his jacket. I didn't get that because I heard the meow. I saw the little the voice bubble for meow, but I never put it together because it wasn't really like thrown in my face. And I need things thrown in my face. I'm not a somebody that really, I'm a guy. I don't pick up on cues. And then I started doing the Batman,
Yeah.
the metal series.
Metal.
But yeah, there's only like a handful of things that I really really like, and most of the comic books that I keep around are just ones that have those panels where they really stuck with me. So I wanted to keep them around for reference. Like let's see, like this one here that I read probably almost once a week. Not read it, but go through a couple of pages. Is the Conan Omnibus.
Yeah.
And this one has like just fantastic
Gosh.
art all through it. Like look at this art. This is good stuff.
Yep.
It almost looks like the old Wolverine Origins.
Uh-huh.
Like where it looks real painterly and all that.
Oh, the one that Quesada drew?
Yeah. Again, I don't know.
I think it was Quesada who drew one of those. All right.
Oh wait, I have it right here actually. Let me see. Yes, Quesada.
Yep.
Yeah. But things like that. And this one, I think it was the fight with Cookie that really stuck with me. But there's just some books that I just really end up enjoying, or really have the scenes that stay with me, that I want to keep them around. Like, of course, what is this? The Killing Joke, City of Court of Owls, More White Knight. For some reason, I like this book and I keep it around.
200th issue. Was that an older one? Yeah.
Yeah. It's the one where he kills the Green Goblin.
Okay. Gosh, I wish I hadn't given away my old Spider-Man. I was really kicking myself because when I go to the comic book shop and see some of them, they'll be like $70 or $100 if I ever want to get them back again.
I know, right? This one I really enjoyed.
Marvel Zombies. Okay.
Marvel Zombies versus the Army of Darkness.
Nice.
I'm a big Raimi fan. But yeah, those are my influences. And the thing is, like, because I'm just I don't delve too deep into things. Like most of my influences are really things that are super famous. Like the cartoons that I like are the really famous cartoons. I don't have a lot of that esoteric knowledge when it comes to any one particular field.
You don't need that in particular. You know, the drive is the most important thing, and the influences are like a teacher.
Yeah.
They're the ones you come along your way. It's like footprints in the sand. It's like what's his name? Michael Knowles read a poem by some artist that was like about how if you live a fantastic life, it's like you leave footprints in the sand for the next person to follow. So the artist can be like footprints to guide you, but you have to do the walking yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's what. And the thing is, I mean, I have a bunch of stories that I want to tell, but like I was telling you before, like I would love to work on something with you because you really, really go into deep thought about what you're writing about.
Something that's kind of inspiring to me personally from you is I draw a lot, and I think I have good drawing habits. But whenever I learned academic drawing and draw every little detail of the human form in a portrait form. So I think I'm kind of weak in comics because I bring that mindset to it, and I kind of have to like force myself out of that mindset that I'm not drawing like a 90-hour portrait per panel. I've just got to draw. I've just got to draw comic book page. So I may just try working as a writer more, just to break me out of that bad habit, so I can make more projects, or make projects as a writer while I'm also making projects as an artist. But yeah, you would definitely be on you wouldn't just be on the top of the list. You'd be the number one on my list for projects to work on in future.
No, you heard it here first, people. I got a commitment from Marmaduke.
Yep.
Sorry. But yeah, that's what. And the thing is, like, there's no reason to not go big. The world is your oyster when it comes to writing a story. The only difference is I can't write a story to save my life.
Well, you've got something cooking with the Last Judge.
I know, but I have to run this stuff by my wife so she can critique it.
All right. Hey, that's always good to have like a brutally honest person who's the love of your life.
Oh yeah. She is very unimpressed by me.
What's the example of commentary you've gotten on The Last Judge from Mrs. Gaming the System?
The first thing she said when she saw anything, is it supposed to look like that? I'm like, get out of here. She's like, I know you draw better than that. I'm like, you know what? No, she likes the fact that I'm doing this channel and I'm trying to, make a name for myself and finally doing something with my artwork. Because, for the last couple of, the last 5-10 years, I've just been working a regular job, making life happen. But she's glad that I'm
to, make sure you're not starving,
Oh yeah.
It's a problem with a lot of artists, is they're just content to starve.
Yeah, I'm not okay with that. I like the fact that I'm here in my garage in my house that I have a mortgage on and I'm not renting, Mm-hmm. I'm very happy about that. And but yeah, I don't want to do the whole working for peanuts, starving artist thing anymore.
Eric says, can we trick Marvel into hiring his wife? Please.
Oh yeah, she'd be great. Except you would never get any books because everything would be turned down.
Wow. Now you're getting into some really fine, like, texture, almost like skin texture.
Yeah.
Is that a fine point?
Yeah, this is a 005. This is when you kind of really go in there and bring out all those little bumps of the skin and nooks and crannies and wrinkles, and this is my favorite part.
I'm just kind of mesmerized by that right now. Sorry. Any questions in the chat? Direct that at me, and I'll pass this on to John. And also, if you only just joined us recently, I've got the link to John worked as the artist on a comic project with a writer called Black Emerald. It's digital only, but you can get the digital comic for just $2 and support a really cool friend of Comicsgate. And Guy Tyler Bush says, #1 Marmaduke fan, are you going to make a comic book soon? I'd buy. Yes, I've got to I've kind of been like shamed into action by John Dillard, because I'm also trying to balance like full-time work with making comics. So I've got the outline. I want to get it into like a script format where someone can where I can hire an artist and they can like take a look at it and know what I want and start drawing. And once that's finalized, then I'll probably like take point on the other thing is I'm going to have to learn like all the ins and outs of Indiegogo, because I'll probably have to learn like, the publishing details, the mailing details. But I've actually worked in newspapers before, so I have a feeling it won't be too hard for me to pick up some of the little factoids on that. I've just got to really like sit down and self-educate myself on how to do the publishing end of things.
Yeah, that's what I really admired about the guy that I'm working with, that Matthew Ko, because he also did the whole Indiegogo thing. So I was like, here's the work. Just put it up. Just put it up.
Put me in touch with him, because Zach will not let me into his little club of publishers who are sharing secrets about. I'm mad at Senpai because they're sharing like secrets they've learned from their Indiegogo projects, and I can't get into the club. So Senpai will not notice me. So maybe Matt can help me out.
Yeah, I'll send you his information.
Sweet.
He just spearheaded the whole thing because he's been doing the independent thing for a while. I don't think he's had much success, but I know that he's been trying for a good while now.
Yeah. Okay. Now people are asking me about comic stuff. So the metal asks, is it going to involve those OCs of yours? I'm going to draw the comic with the OCs I've talked about on this channel a bunch because I'm perfectionistic and like really fastidious about them. But I've got lots of ideas for stories. I'm actually really passionate about a lot of the stories I've written, but I don't have like this weird OCD thing where I feel like I have to draw them. So I've worked on. I'm going to give John probably like his pick of epic stories to look at, and whatever he feels like is the best fit for him. That might be what I would hope for. Yeah. But I've got like a superhero. I've got like a superhero one. I've got a kind of a straight sci-fi one, and I've got like a mysterious and unique one. So we'll see what works. And
we're not going to do rednecks versus racists.
I like that one. Yeah. I just got to actually like get it beyond just the title, because all there is to Rednecks versus Racists is the title Rednecks versus Racists. But maybe I could, and that YouTube video of like, that turned out to be fake. Like they just had like a little crocodile head they attached to a motorboat. But I liked the idea of a redneck pile driving a crocodile from on high. So that would have to be featured at some point. Okay. Evie of the Sea has changed her username already. What OCs, number one Marmaduke fan? So I've mentioned them in like a couple videos, and I've drawn them a couple of times. I've got some OCs that's all going to be like girls fighting like Samurai Jack style. That one's going to take me a while because I'm a perfectionist. But the projects I'm writing, I'll be able to bang out a little faster because I'm a faster writer than I am a drawer. Cecil!
There you go, right here. Rednecks versus racists.
You did that?
Yeah.
No way! No way! Why didn't I see that? What? What? Hold on. You're like playing mind games on me here. Is that like recent on your timeline?
Not too recent, no.
Okay, well, we'll consider that a successful job interview. Kavanaugh, they gave him like the worst job interview ever. You just passed yours.
I like this. Everybody,
you'll have to tweet it. You'll have to DM it to me later. I'm not finding it right now.
Okay. Yeah, it says concept art, work in progress for number one Marmaduke fans. Rednecks versus racists.
Oh gosh,
that was on September 12th.
Okay. You probably caught me in the middle of my. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a bad friend. I didn't retweet it.
Ooh.
I try to retweet your stuff whenever I see your stuff come up, but
thank you for that. I see that. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Oh, there's that sport man. So yeah.
Awesome. So did you wrap up your comic book panel?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go back and tape this off.
Yeah.
And do a little bit of fading in for the background because it's supposed to be nighttime. So I'm gonna kind of do the Jim Lee with the paper towel to get this all darker, but not actually doing line work, just using ink itself and dabbing it. Well, I might be able to do that right now.
Yeah, take your time. I'm just kind of mesmerized by the process of it and getting some interesting feedback.
And there's another thing I learned. When you want to take something off, use electrical tape. Don't use masking tape because the masking tape will rip the paper.
Yeah. Well, have you found drafting tape?
Yes, but it's prohibitively expensive for me.
Oh, yeah. It's nuts. Eric asked, is John's writer supplying a full script to him or to work off of? Or is it more Marvel style?
It's more Marvel style, but it's more Marvel style. But the thing is, he's been very. We've been talking back and forth, and he has an exact look he's going for. So it's. You know what? Let me try this. That's another thing you can do. You can try new things on your finished piece. Who cares? Let me get a scrap paper. Yeah, that'll work.
I didn't know about electric tape as an alternative to drafting tape because that always used to break my wallet in art school. And just regular masking tape is awful. You just might as well just rip your drawing before you use that stuff. Gosh, look at that. Like a painting. Get your 10,000 hours of drawing in, gang. That's just special. I love watching people draw.
And yeah. And the thing is, it's cool because the electrical tape actually bends with whatever you want to do it.
Yeah. Nice. You're getting a lot of energy too with that that soft touch.
And trying to think how I want to approach the bottom corner. Back here. I gotta sit and think about this for a little bit.
Eric Cutlass, who is he's one of my oldest person to do fan art for my channel, so I love them. Are you connected with Eric yet?
No, I'm not.
Oh, you gotta get connected with Eric. He's one of the coolest dudes in Comicsgate. All right, I was watching one of Billy Tucci's drawing videos, and he said he uses blue painter's tape for masking his pages. That makes sense. Yeah, that's cheaper because
the thing is, I tried that too, but the thing is, sometimes I work on a page for so long, even the blue painter's tape starts to peel off the paper as well. Like when I take too long, it'll do the same thing as regular masking tape. For me, anyway. I mean, it's different for. I mean, Billy Tucci knows what he's talking about, so. Hello?
Sorry, I was looking at the chat to see if there are any good comments. Do you want to repeat that? I was kind of in la la land reading comments.
Oh no, I was just saying that the blue tape, I've tried it, and it kind of does the same thing as masking tape when you leave it on the paper for too long.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do leave it. I'm not, I don't take care of my drawings as well as I should, so sometimes I do forget and I leave it on for too long.
Yeah. How'd you figure out the scanning process and everything for Black Emerald? Like, did you invest in a scanner, or did your writer help you figure some of that out?
No, I actually had to go to FedEx office, and I think it was $36 for 16 pages
to scan.
Yeah.
Oh, they are ripping you off.
Yeah, because I guess they were full color scans. Because I scanned them all in with the blue line.
Yeah.
so that he could take that out. So I had to scan them in as full color, and yeah,
Oh, that's the worst thing I've ever heard of. Now, I I used to use a little library, not a little one. A library had an actual nice scanner that they would let students use. So that might be like option one is like cross your fingers and hope a library has a good one. But I've even made like a $30 scanner work. Now the problem for like big art is that it's too big for the scanner, so then we got to get like kind of like smart alecky with it. But even with that, you could like I mean, now maybe it's maybe if they have like the actual professional equipment, that's better if you're going to be selling the product. But uh, I hate the idea of paying FedEx to do something that I could do.
yeah. And the thing is, I don't. Again, I'm not really familiar with Photoshop. I don't have
Yeah,
Photoshop. I don't have clip art, so I don't know how to.
right.
Because I've seen the videos. I do try
Yeah,
to I do try. So
yeah,
I watch the videos where people scan in, one half of the picture, then the other half of the picture, and then merge them, and or
yeah.
scan it 3 times and all that.
Right,
But
right.
I just don't have the time. And even if I did um, have the scanner and the program, it's going to take me at least a couple of days to figure out how to work it, let alone become proficient enough to do page after page after page.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, I'll probably end up investing in
it's a
a 17 by 14 scanner
yeah. And
before I get Photoshop.
have you done Patreon yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, that might be worth doing as a stretch goal. Like start the Patreon and like have a specific goal of I will get a scanner, when I get like X number of and you could get it before you get X number of patrons, but that would be like a nice little way of letting people know how exactly they're helping you finance your artistic practice. Because especially if you're going to be doing like the independent, publishing side of things, that'd be a really good thing for you. Even if you don't need to know like all the little tips and tricks of Photoshop. Just to cut out the middleman of FedEx, because it takes you time to drive down to FedEx and have them do that for you. So if you can get to that point, then you can really start banging out, like the art, and then working with like writers and letters and colorists, and then you've got like really quality art to show up that's just scanned for them.
Yeah, that's true. Because honestly, like I got to go today, and I got to go mail off that piece the Starfire that somebody won.
Mhm.
Is where is that? Yeah, I did that Starfire picture on the drawn in quarter, and I have to go mail that off to Eric uh, Bieberbach.
Okay.
And it's looking like I'm having to do more and more running to FedEx office. So I got to start thinking about getting some of my own stuff in my own home, because it's getting to be a lot of hassle.
That's What are some things you'd like to people to know about your channel and your work? Like what's maybe like the most important thing you'd like them to know?
Hmm. Well, probably the most important thing about the channel is that I'm on the side of the artist.
Yeah,
So the things that I talk about on my channel are really geared towards when what you do and living your life as an artist,
yeah,
and how to do things so that you don't get pushed to the back of um, the scale of importance.
yeah,
And not only that, like I don't know anything about the comic book industry, but I am genuinely giving it the old college try to break in.
yeah.
And I don't mean break into Marvel or DC.
Right.
I just mean break into the point where I'm getting paid actual money
Yep.
to produce and making a living wage doing artwork,
Yeah.
which is the end goal. Because I love doing comic books, but if I can't make a living doing comic books, I'll have to find a way to make a
Right.
living doing something else with my
Right.
artwork.
So really, when we talk about, the importance of patrons, right? Like I think Patreon exists because it does what, the popes would do for the Michelangelos their day. When people like your work, it's their chance to say, "I want your artwork to exist in this world."
Mhm. Yeah, I need a personal Lorenzo de Medici.
Yeah. He was dope. The golden age. I mean, they were all bankers, right? And they kind of like
Yeah.
had political, maybe tyrannical rule over uh, Florence, but they produced a lot of freaking art, and we're happy for it now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's yeah, having the Patreon might work, but again, I need to get a bigger subscriber base before
Yeah,
I start to do all that.
right,
Like
right.
you got close to 1,000. I think I'm hovering around 60.
I think I started mine at like about 800. I felt like it was worth having one because I didn't want to have like a sad one with like zero patrons, just sitting there forever. All right,
I
now,
know.
here's the thing. I worked as an illustrator and like newspaper guy for a while. So I had like years of making art and kind of like trying to build up the audience and everything. And I never got the response that I got from YouTube and Twitter. It was incredible. So I think people really like, sincerely getting to know you and, what makes you click a bit. So that's
Mhm.
one of the smartest aspects to what you're trying to do is you're coming in knowing that you need to break in and game the system a little bit, but you're smart that there's this tool that lets you talk to anybody in the world and show off your artistic process. So uh, that's why I'm rooting for you, and that's why I think you can do it.
Yeah, it's great. I was on a live stream earlier with one of the guys from the Drawn and Quartered fan site,
Yeah,
and it was just great. I think he lives in Canada, and we were just chit chatting for like a good 4 hours straight. And we were talking about comics and all that, and it was fantastic. This is more than I could have hoped for, and I think now is the perfect time because back when I first when I was younger, when people typically start their artistic career, when in your 20s, there wasn't that opportunity for me. There we go. I'm drawing him in a guayabera, which is a typical Hispanic leisure shirt.
yeah.
Yeah, this panel is just about done.
All right. Uh, we've been going for about 2.5 hours. This has been pretty neat. Watching the whole process from beginning to finish.
Yeah, it's
So
been
let's
fun.
remind people who may not have watched like from the very beginning. So Black Emerald, you can support that. You can get the digital comic only at this point, but you can. It's really easy to just hop in and support you on Black Emerald. And the drawing we've been watching is for The Last Judge. We kind of did we break news on the number one Marmaduke channel for The Last Judge?
Yep.
Nice. Your Twitter is Dillard GTS, and your YouTube channel is John Dillard Gaming the System. I'll need to update the channel description so people can go subscribe to your channel because you've just got like video after video showing the drawing process, doing fan art of comic projects related to Comicsgate,
Hmm.
and you're just like rearing to go, and you're in it to win it.
Well, yeah. But it's a fun project. I love the channel, and I love hearing comments in the channel. And it's really rare to get comments in a YouTube video for when you're relatively unknown.
Yeah.
But those are always fantastic. When I got a pop up, I got a comment on the video. Well, let me go check that out right now. I'll pull over and go check that out. Yeah, any comments you guys have, any questions, hit me up on my Facebook, my YouTube. I'll make sure to answer you. I don't have many people on there right now, so I'll definitely get to you.
Senpai
And
Zach may not notice you, but we will.
I know. Is Zach? Is
I
Zach?
just updated it. So if you guys refresh the page after we're done, then his channel should pop up in the description. Oh, I missed a question. I'm sorry, your friendly neighborhood ninja. Here it is. This community is one of the greatest in the world. Okay, so I'm guessing there was a question earlier that I missed, Ninja. I'm sorry. There it is. Hey, I'm doing the ash can for Sporkman Goes to Japan. I'm coloring the Sporkman fan art by John for Sporkman Studios. Ask him how he likes it. Have you seen Neighborhood Ninja's colors for your fan art yet?
I did already. Yeah, they're great.
Good. Good.
Remember when Zach was talking about like there's nothing more exciting than getting the stuff back colored, and Ethan
Yeah.
talks about how he gets it back from Kyle Ritter all colored and it's fantastic. I was like, oh my god, it's like I'm a real artist. It was cool. I was like, oh my goodness, and then the colors are perfect. I love the way they do the Sporkman. I was actually working on another Sporkman picture,
Nice.
and it was Sporkman sitting down at one of those Plinko machines.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like in Japan, and just like spending his money, and his suit was looking all baggy, and he looks real skinny, you know.
Yeah.
Something funny, but I haven't got around to finishing that yet. But yeah, those colors are great. I love it, especially the one with the rising sun in the background.
Uh-huh.
Was let me see if I have it here. Yeah, this one. I seen him color this one.
Nice. Oh
And
yeah, I saw that one too. Kawaii Poo, Sportman Senpai.
and yeah, it was great. The girls looked great, and his costume was fantastic. But
Great combination of your cartoon
what?
theory there. Yeah, badass and cartoon all together.
Yeah. I have yet to do Sporkman super cartoony, but that's probably coming up too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Sporkman. I don't know. That character is just something else. I just love drawing him.
I know. It's
And
one of those.
thank you very much, Ninja. That they look fantastic.
It's one of those ideas where you just say it and it sounds like, yes, I want to watch that. You know, like Crimson Chin from Fairly Odd Parents has that kind of vibe.
With Clef the Boy Chin Wonder.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love it.
I'm falling asleep a little bit. Do you want to have any closing thoughts for everyone?
No, just go and make sure to check out my channel.
Definitely.
Yeah, go check out John Dillard Gaming the System. It chronicles my journey to becoming a juggernaut, the number one in comics, or at least getting paid.
I want to see you get stinking rich. I want everyone in Comicsgate stinking rich and laughing all the way to the bank.
I also want that. And yeah, you know, send me a message and give me a sub if you can, and I really appreciate it. And go check out Black Emerald on Indiegogo right now.
Yep.
You can get in for just $2.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's also perks on there. You can go, and if you want a page of original artwork, I think it's like $60.
For $60, you can get a page of original artwork for $60. It's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and for $2,000, I will go and get the book printed, and I will hand deliver it to your house and have a pizza party. Anywhere in the continuous United States.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check out Black Emerald. It's definitely worth it, especially at $2.
Yep. Get on board. Thank you so much, John Dillard. You are the undisputed #1 fan artist of Comicsgate. I'm declaring it. I'll do like a cartoon Great Dane trophy for you that you can pin if you want, because I don't think anyone's going to be challenging you for that title anytime soon.
Oh, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna print out that trophy and put it right here above my table.
Nice. All right. I don't remember what number backer I am, or if it would dox me, but I am backing Black Emerald, and I hope to continue backing John Dillard projects in the future and watching this rise to success.
Well, thank you very much, Marmaduke. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
You are welcome, and thank you for putting so much passion into your art. I have guys like you on because you show so much love and enthusiasm for other people in indie comics. It's just infectious, and I gotta share some of that with people. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, your friendly neighborhood ninja. Also, Sporkman goes to Japan on Indiegogo with fan art by John Dillard appearing in that book. I think in the trade paperback, if I recall right. So. Nice way to get a shout out in there, your friendly neighborhood ninja. But we want Sporkman to do well too. We dig Sporkman. All right, thank you all so much for joining us. I'm sorry, I think I had a glass of wine. I was a little tired, but I was just you really stole the show with just this beautiful drawing tonight, John. So thank you so much, and I can't wait to have you on in the future.
Oh, I can't wait to be back on again. I enjoyed it.
Love you guys. Catch you later. Bye bye.